I'm Amber Davies, and this is your 5-minute call. This is the space where musical theatre takes centre stage. From unforgettable backstage stories with incredible special guests to insights from my life and my theatre journey. We're leaving it all on the mic every single week, so let's jump in. On this episode, we have a Strictly winner and my favourite happy man who I'm working with at the minute. It's the wonderful Oduba. So today, guys, I have one of the most gorgeous human beings sitting here with me. Lucky enough to call him my co-star, my happy man.
What?
It's the wonderful Oduba.
Hi, Ams.
Hi, Gorge.
I have to say, I'm quite nervous.
Why?
Yeah, because you always make me nervous. You make me anxious.
Do I? Why?
Yeah, because
erratic behaviour.
No, it's not. It's actually nothing to do with you. You just get things out of me.
Yeah. I'm going to get his deep and darkest secrets
don't
out.
go there. It's been lovely because even how we've met has always been quite serendipitous, and ever since I've known you, you just bring out the honest me.
Yeah.
And I'm just myself most around you, and I'm quite nervous about telling other people that, really. That's probably why.
I love that. I promise you're safe today.
I know I'm safe. And lovely Merlin, who's looking after us over there.
Yeah, shout out to Merlin. We're actually, at the minute, we're in Edinburgh doing Pretty Woman. We're just about to go into our second week, aren't we?
Yeah.
Ori's had his family here, his gorgeous, gorgeous family.
We've had a lovely time. Edinburgh's actually, it's kind of where a lot of my working in this industry started, because I came to the Edinburgh TV Festival when I was about 20, and so I've come here loads and loads of times. So it's weird that
It's like
we're
a
kind
full circle
It is
moment.
kind of full. Every time I come to Edinburgh, it feels full circle. It just kind of brings everything back down to earth.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's kind of mad that we're doing this wicked show together, yous and me, in front of like up to 3,000 people at the Edinburgh
3,000
Playhouse.
people. Do you know what? The Playhouse is the second biggest in the UK, isn't
Yeah.
it? The first is the Coliseum. But it is like, there's nothing quite like it, is it, when you go out there?
Yeah, there really isn't anything like being out on the stage at all, and I never take any of it for granted, really. I said to one of our crew, Beth, who's my dresser on the team, and I speak absolute... Do you do swearsies on this show?
Swear?
Can I
Yeah,
swear?
you can swear.
I speak absolute shit. I'm nervous already. I speak rubbish to Beth all the time. And so I don't know if she doesn't know whether I'm being sincere or whether I'm just talking crap. But I remember coming off for one of the opening scenes, and I do my quick change just before you come on. We do a little high five, and I remember saying to her, "Do you know it's mad? Because every time I come into that theatre and then start our show, regardless of whatever mood I've been in, I always am happy."
I love that.
I'm always, genuinely, as long as my body's not broken, because I'm a bit older now, and I do feel it.
Those 8 shows a week.
Oh gosh, Ham's like, we've had a couple of days off and I've only just about started feeling myself again. But no, I love starting our show. It's such a feel-good show.
Yeah.
And there's that point where I speak to Beth. She doesn't know if I'm going to say anything useful, sincere, or I'm going to talk out my arse again. But I genuinely said to her, I feel always happy.
Yeah. Talking about, so Ori actually is the first person you see on the show. Well, you've got the ensemble coming on, but
Yeah.
the first bit of script
I
comes
kinda welcome
from
them on,
Ori.
don't I?
You welcome everyone.
Yeah.
So what I'd love to ask you, because I ask this to all my guests,
Yeah.
is what's your pre-show ritual?
Ooh, I am quite ritualistic. I like just to be in my own space, and like I've got makeup on and I've done my thing in my room, just trying to get myself into the best space. I put the radio on.
Yeah.
I've always got the radio on, probably blaring out. You're next door, so if you do hear the radio on, if it's too loud, you should let me know.
I will let you know.
But I probably put the radio on just to try to get an idea of like it's live, and we're going to live theatre, so I like it to be busy in my head.
Yeah.
So it doesn't feel like it's too closed off. And then like it never was supposed to be a ritual, but I always go off to a dark corner before the start of the show. I don't like to chat. I like to just go tell myself, don't fuck it up. That's basically all I'm doing from the minute we've been called beginners. I'm just telling myself, right, what have you got to do? There's 3,000 people out there. What's the first note?
Yeah.
And just going over the big, because it's a big deal, like running out and going, welcome to 3,000 people on
Matching
pitch.
that energy. Yeah.
So I always want to make sure that I hit that first impression the best I can. So that's what I go off into a little dark corner.
And you and I have a little ritual.
Yes.
He's got a tiny little beauty spot, or he does, on his hand.
Yes, I do. There it is.
And before I went away for Dancing on Ice, I touched the... I remember.
Yeah.
I touched the beauty
I
spot.
think that's lovely of you to call it a beauty spot, because others would say freckle or mole.
Oh, no, that's
But
a beauty
if you think
spot.
it's beautiful, yeah.
But now we have a little high five in the wing as you're going to go on.
Yeah, we have a little swap in the wing before, in the middle of our opening number. So it's nice. It's cute.
It's like a check-in
It
for
is a
us.
check-in. And it's funny because I'm sure every guest that you've had on this show, you've talked about pre-show ritual, would probably go, well, no, I'm not so... But we are so ritualistic. We're so kind of... I don't know if OCD is the best label to put for everybody, but if things start going out of place, then the whole world is going to start caving in.
Yeah, we know about it.
Yeah, and I certainly feel like if I need to keep that level of, I just my whole career, my whole life as an adult has probably been quite like methodical.
Yeah,
It's probably the word I would give it. Yeah,
I love that. I love that because you're the first guest that I've had on that I'm currently working with. So I like that the listeners can listen to what our relationship is like as co-workers.
yes, we are co-workers.
Co-workers.
Yeah.
What is it like working with me? Just out of curiosity. Just
The good,
no,
the
do you know,
bad,
no.
or
Do you know
the
what? I
truth.
just want it one word.
You can't do it, and it's the best. It is great working with you.
Is it?
When you're not around, you do notice it in the best possible way. I don't need to blow smoke up you. I don't need to, but it's the truth. And speak to anybody on this show. I can't speak for your last production, Sam. You'll have to ask everybody else.
Well, I left my last one with a boyfriend.
So again, terrible things go into my mind. I was going to say something really inappropriate. This is what I'm saying. I'm not safe to be let loose. Yeah, you are an amazing... Do you remember in rehearsal, I remember speaking to you in the first couple of weeks, and it's such a massive role. And myself and Ollie, who plays Edward, your opposite, your leading man in the show, we came to watch Back to the Future, and we were so blown away by your performance. But then, of course, Vivian's a whole other step up.
Yeah.
It is the whole show is about you, let alone the image and trying to replicate Julie Roberts. But the big sing, the presence on stage. And I remember watching you in rehearsals, and we have such a good laugh, like off stage and sort of when we're not working. But I just remember saying to you, like, I'm so impressed. Just what a level up. Aww. And you are an amazing leading lady on stage, but also as a cast leader. So
Don't, 'cause I'll cry.
That's one word for you.
Okay, thank you.
She's great.
My word for you has to be wholesome.
Oh, I'll say
You're the most wholesome. When Ore is around, you like immediately feel safe. It's like, oh, I'm going to be fine no matter what because Ore's here.
that's very sweet.
Yeah.
I like to, well, I mean, I am a dad,
Yeah.
so I do like to make sure that everyone's okay. Which is a lot, we've got a big company.
Yeah, so there's a lot of big responsibility. You're looking after us all.
But I like to think that people can always come and talk to me. And especially when you're a touring company, when you are a group who are on the road, I've been touring since 2017. That was never the plan. I've been on the road for a really long time, and I'm still figuring out how to do it.
Yeah.
But if it's the first time thing, it's so overwhelming. Not least, you're going from different accommodations, from different cities and all the rest of it. And everything's so intense. We always talk about the work family, but then like a family traveling together
It's
at
intense.
closest quarters, working together, having fun together, drinking together.
Bear in mind, we only met 6 months ago.
Literally, we've so much water. It's passed under the bridge. It's overflowing. The bridge ain't safe. Get off.
I love that. Right, I want to take you all the way back to the beginning. When I was doing my research this morning, I found out that you have a sports science and social science degree. And
Look at you.
And you did it in Loughborough University.
Yeah.
I don't even go back there with you because I know you for who you are now. So you were always interested in sport broadcasting.
Well, it's who am I, Amber?
Here we go.
Who am I? Yeah, I had so many different channels and routes and paths, and I've ended up here. So it can't have gone too far wrong. But to go back even further as to how I'm in this seat talking to you about working in the theatre world, at school as a kid, if I wasn't playing sport, I was on a stage.
Okay.
So I always wanted to, like, I remember being 11, maybe younger, and not being old enough to be in the school production of Bugsy Malone. And I was desperate to be. I was like, I can't wait to be in the production from next year, like running around the school, just watching, like the whole school would get involved, from like carpentry building the set, or, you know, the art department doing the backdrop, and I just was soaking it up from a really early age.
Yeah.
So I was always from all the way till I was 18. I was in every school production.
So you always had an instinct to do it from a young age.
I was always doing it. I did theatre studies, GCSE. It was a huge part of my world, but it was never a realistic career as far as I was led to believe, or kind of like my school. It was never something. We had a theatre, which was an amazing luxury, incredible resource to have. But it was never like, oh, you can actually get a job in this. So I looked in another direction.
The thing is, if you haven't got anybody around you that's done it, how are you meant to know?
Yeah, that's kind of
that is it.
And even going into telly, nobody had a clue. But at least when you're asked the question, like in a careers meeting with a teacher who's 50 years older than you, like, what do you want to do? I was like, I want to do something I enjoy, and I like watching telly, so I'll do that. And they were like looking at me completely blank face, like, I don't know how you plan on doing that. So I looked up some old dusty books, and that's how I ended up going to Loughborough, because I knew they had a really big media centre there. So there was student telly and student magazine and radio, and I played hockey to quite a high level. So I
saw that you were a bit of a sportsman.
Well, yeah, I mean, I went to Loughborough and realised that I wasn't going to be a professional sports person, because everybody else was already going to the Olympics. So I was like, okay, well, this was fun while it lasted. Let's break away before it's too late. And that idea of like getting somewhere and you're not making it is quite a difficult thing. But I came to it quite early with sport.
You have to be very logical. Like, were you just like black and white? Like, this isn't going to happen, so I need to change direction?
Yeah, kind of. I've always kind of had a bit of until maybe since parenthood, I haven't got a clue what I'm doing with that. But before that, I've always kind of had a map as to where the best route for me is, and trying to sort of join the dots to make it happen. So I went to Loughborough University, and I was doing sports science and social science. I mean, I spent don't tell mama, but I didn't spend many hours studying the course. I was spending more time in dark rooms editing student television.
Wow. Yeah. Okay.
That's what I was doing.
For our listeners, from 2008 to 2013, you were a presenter on Newsround on the CBBC.
Yeah.
So that was your in.
That's when I started.
And how did you book that job?
I got told I got the job on my last day of university. I got so drunk. Yeah.
Shock.
What a shock. Edinburgh. So I met the guy who was going to become the head of children's. He had another senior position at CBBC, but I was doing a kind of networking program in Edinburgh for young people, and was networking. So you're trying to meet lots of different people, and end up getting along really well with the guy who was to become the head of children's. So I still had another year of university, so I was just stayed in touch with him. He was like, make sure you get a show reel together. And I did, and I got it in the right hands. And then little did I know, Newsround were looking for new presenters. So,
and that was it.
Boom. Auditions. Last day of term. Sorry, what? Okay. Thanks. Vodka, please.
One audition? Just one?
Just one screen test. Yeah. It was quite involved. I had to go down to London, which is always a big thing. If you don't live in London, the idea of driving down to London for what could be your big break at 21 was terrifying.
But you did it.
Yeah.
But you're infectious. Your energy's infectious, so of course you were going to get it.
Oh.
And then you went on to present Match of the Day Kickabout.
That was one of our wonderful children's shows. Yeah, that was it was like a football show for kids.
Nice.
Yeah. So I spent 5 years at CBBC, 5.5 years, left in 2013. Had the best time, and I think it's funny because I remember doing Match Day Kickabout, which is essentially a football show for kids. But we were thinking, how can we make this sort of pop a bit more? We didn't really have like any money or any resources.
Okay.
So our job was to try to think outside the box. How are we going to engage kids in a sport they already know and love, and they would just want to see the highlights. So a lot of that show was me dressing up and doing funny accents,
Oh.
doing sketches.
We're going to have to try and find some of that footage.
No, I know where they are. They're locked down. You need the passcodes.
Listen.
And you're not getting the passcodes.
I am the best stalker one can wish for. I can find anything.
I mean, they're quite funny to look at. It was, and anyone who has worked in children's telly will tell you that it's the best foundation for so many areas of work in telly or beyond.
I feel like a lot of people
so
started there.
much. Yeah. I mean, talk about some of the icons of telly in recent times. Ant and Dec, Holly Willoughby,
Laura Whitmore.
Laura's done children's. Yeah, there's loads going back. Andy Peters, come on,
Yeah.
the broom cupboard. So yeah, and you do so much, whether it's sport or comedy or entertainment or live. I did 6 years of live telly.
Yeah,
on
that's what I want to
CBBC.
ask you. What is the difference between live and not live? Like, how do you even deal with that?
Well, I think because I started doing live.
Okay.
So it wasn't harder because it was just like, that was my training. Like, talk about learning on the job.
Yeah.
I remember sometimes we had shows, and so you're doing the news to kids, but essentially it's the same kind of resource as the 6 o'clock news.
Okay.
So like proper editors, and you're going in the newsroom, and then you're seeing like George Aligai or Fiona Bruce over there. You're like, oh, we're doing a little show for children, but don't be shit still.
Yeah.
And you might be getting a VT package. It's like, we're going on air in 5 minutes and it's still not there. We don't have the footage, but we need 3 minutes to fill yet. And
my anxiety.
yeah, I mean, I'm 22 and I'm going, I've never done this before. And this is on BBC One. So at the time, children's is now online or digital, but at the time it was on BBC One. So,
So you started basically there.
you started there going, don't be shit, which is all of our mantras.
Yeah. Whatever you do, just don't be shit.
But that was, it was a massive learning curve. And I spent 5.5 amazing years doing it. But the thing that I never say goodbye, because I never say goodbye to anyone. It's always kind of, see you soon.
See you soon.
I went on an attachment to Radio 5 Live, but I never
Yeah,
said
that's what I've
goodbye.
got here. Radio 5 Live.
Yeah.
Did you do a New Year Live programme?
Yeah, I did. Do you know what's serendipitous and ironic and coincidental and crazy? I did New Year's Live in 2015
Yeah.
with Bryan Adams.
So Bryan Adams wrote the music for Pretty Woman the Musical.
I first met him nearly 10 years ago when he was bringing in 2016 on BBC One in front of 30 million people. And he was doing All Summer 69 and all the rest of it. And then just before midnight, I do an interview with him to say, wow, how amazing to bring in the new year with the UK. What are you looking forward to next year? And then you say, here comes the fireworks. He does another gig. And then I say, well, I'll see you in 2023 to do your musical Pretty Woman you haven't written yet.
That's crazy.
So that was pretty wild when he turned up in rehearsal. I was like, I have met you once.
Did he not remember?
He actually did, or he maybe Showbiz said he did.
Okay.
But he looked like he did. He looked happy
Like,
enough to. He was like, yeah. No,
hooray.
I think he remembered the gig because you would remember bringing in New Year's Eve on BBC One in the UK. Maybe this face was a bit more blurry, but he was very kind about
Oh,
it.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that he was humble like that.
Yeah.
Now it's time for a quick interval. Go and powder your noses and we'll see you in 2. Talking about 2016, that was a big year for you, wasn't it?
Yeah, a few things happened.
Few things
changed.
happened. Not many people can say, I won't Strictly Come Dancing, but this man can.
Hello. Yeah.
When that offer came through, what was your thought process?
Well, I had a lot of friends. I was working full time at the BBC, so it's the biggest thing on the telly. And I always compared it strictly when it was at Television Centre in London. I always compared it to being like Charlie Bucket and Strictly being like Wonka's Factory. Because I always like looked through the pearly gates going, wouldn't it be incredible to be part of that one day? But I knew a lot of people who'd been asked, and some people are asked years and years and still don't make the cut. So I remember having a chat with the talent exec and the executive producer, and I was like, oh my God, they know who I am. That's crazy. Yeah. I might get to do the show in 5 years. That was the April. And then in the July that year, my agent called me up and sung the theme tune down the phone. I was like, I can't hear what is that? Oh my, is this supposed to be funny? Is this how, and that's how she was telling me that I got the gig. So I actually remember telling my mum at the time, and I said, I've got some news for you. I had my wife on the phone. She thought I was going to tell her that we were having a baby.
Oh.
It's like, oh, not yet. Strictly,
anyway.
Is that as good? She was so unimpressed.
Oh my gosh, that is iconic.
Yeah.
Like, no, Mum, I'm going on the best TV show.
That's what I really want. Like, to dance on the telly.
Not have a baby.
How do you even know me?
And then to go on and win it. Were you a favourite? I've got to say, I didn't watch your season.
Darling. That's okay. It was a long time ago.
I was in third year. I was in third year of college. Yeah. I was partying in London. I wasn't watching Strictly in my third year at college.
It's Saturday night. I'm 21. What am I going to do?
Go out in London.
Yeah.
Did you have a feeling you'd win it?
Nope. Not even until Tess said it.
Really?
For the whole time. No. We were rank outsiders. We were rank outsiders from the beginning, and even in the final, we were rank outsiders. Our mantra, myself and Joanne, who I was just still so close with today, our mantra was just like, let's enjoy it for what we can. Enjoy every single aspect of it. I spent so much of my time just in wardrobe, just chatting, or just wandering around in a dressing gown, just trying to soak up. Because like I said, I was Charlie Bucket with the golden freaking ticket. I was in. So I just wanted to sort of take every single aspect of it in. And then just try to make it 1 week after the next.
And just be present and enjoy it.
Yeah. I mean, we knew we had something pretty special as a pair, but you'd have no idea. You know this. You have no idea how people are going to vote. Yeah. But that's beyond your control. Yeah. So no, we were just like really enjoy. I loved rehearsal. Every morning. Again, I tell you about feeling like I'm broken today. Every morning before Strictly, and again, this girl knows exactly what I'm talking about. Yeah. I was like, I feel like a bag of bones that someone's just gone over with a pestle and mortar. Right, dance with that.
Go.
I was broken, but I couldn't wait. So we danced for 12 hours.
I love that. I feel like no one would have been enjoying themselves more than you. Like just to be there, just to be there.
Maybe. Yeah, I mean, that was...
Even if you were just filling a seat as an audience member, you freaking love yourself.
Totally. Oh my gosh, yeah. This is 2016. There was no Instagram, really. Mm-hmm. It was kind of there, but it wasn't. I remember one of the members of the crew coming and filming something for us, and then he left. And I remember coming up to him 3 days later going, where was that thing that you recorded? He was like, oh no, that was an Instagram story. They're only up for 24 hours and then they're gone. I was like, what the point of that is. That it was nothing. Twitter was king.
Yeah, Twitter was king.
And Facebook, yeah, kind of, but not as much. But so it was just a completely different world. So you really could just enjoy the TV show. Yeah. Enjoy the experience. Again, it's so much down to the partner. And Simon's such an absolute ledge. Joanne made my experience. Yeah. Absolutely made my experience.
It does make a hell of a lot of difference if you're just on the same wavelength as your partner.
Yeah. And you want to work hard. And Joanne only 2 years before had been crowned the world show dance champion. And so you're literally getting trained by the best in the world.
She's in musicals.
It's her fault that I'm here. Totally.
Is it?
Yeah, totally her fault.
Because that's my next question. Yeah. When did you think... do you know what? I want to be on stage. Did Strictly give you the taste for it?
It reminded me how much I loved it when I was a kid.
Yeah.
That was it. And I guess there's a lot of people, especially on Strictly, because there's such a wide spectrum of people that will do it. All sorts of different levels of celebrity or talent. But a lot of people go on that show and want to run away.
Yeah.
Like, this is not for me at all.
Yeah.
Like, how? Give me the money and eliminate me. I want to go home.
Yeah.
But I remember being on that stage, all the nervousness and just wanting to bank up all the training, as much training as we could. And that was going to give you the solidarity that you could perform, give you the confidence that you could perform. But I remember it being go time and just being able to kind of harness those emotions and being like, there is no greater thrill than being on this stage, seeing 500 people in the room, knowing that it's going out to millions. I was like, that's not normal.
No, it's
If
infectious.
you're enjoying that, you're not normal, then you should probably think about doing something about it. But Joanne was already a musical theatre geek aficionado, lover. She was obsessed with it.
Right.
So if we were taking a break, she was kind of singing or going through another different number, or we were watching videos of like old school like MGM movies and Fred Astaire stuff. We did a number of Gene Kelly, and that Singing in the Rain number that we did in week 3, I think, kind of set up our whole series.
Experience.
And so I was just by osmosis was just like picking up her love and obsession for musical theatre.
Just reminding you,
Yeah,
you know?
I was just like, okay, because I was such a sponge. Like, whatever you're doing, I'm going to try my best to replicate it.
Yeah.
So it was just kind of going in. She was reprogramming me.
So you did your debut, your stage debut on the Grease tour in 2019
Yeah.
as Teen Angel,
Yes.
sharing the role with Mr. Peter Andre.
With Pete, yeah.
That's kind of iconic.
Yeah, I don't think I could have asked for a better start, because I finished Strictly in 2016, and I knew from 2017 that I wanted to make a go in theatre, but I wasn't exactly sure how to piece it together. And I think there might have been a role that landed straight away, and it might have been the wrong one. You can sink or swim in these things, and I wasn't ready. Was basically the thing. I totally wasn't ready. Yes, the profile after winning a Charlotte Strictly was through the roof. But that means if you are pants, good luck working again.
Yeah.
Because people, the appreciation that I have after working in musicals for 5-6 years now, to then this is a 20 years worth of work that's gone into being up there and performing brilliantly 8 times a week. There's nothing mediocre about it.
No.
And so I knew that quite early on and wanted to make sure that I was up to scratch.
Okay.
But the great thing about Grease was that you talk about a musical that everybody already loves. They're there
you
to
can't
have a
go
good
wrong
time.
with
You
Grease.
can't kind of go wrong. And I was sharing the role with Pete. I mean, sure, there might have been people that turned up thinking that Pete was going to be on, and they got me. And
Well, I would have booked to see you, just to
I
let you know.
appreciate that, and I would have needed a lot more of your tickets to cover the refunds for those poor sods.
No,
Where's Pete? Where's Pete? Where's Pete?
That did not happen.
There were no riots in Leeds.
Thank
there were no
God.
riots, but I did get a couple of threats. No. Now, of course, everyone was really lovely, but the thing was, it was already like, it was a positive start. Teen Angel, he comes on, he sings one big number in Act 2, and then he comes back at the finale. That's it.
Yeah.
So it was a really lovely, gentle start, and Pete was really welcoming. We met don't go into a shopping centre with Peter Andre,
Why is it bad?
because if you go through the perfume section of the department store, you won't be anywhere for 45 minutes. I would like to think that was a mistake, but I also know Pete, and I actually think maybe he was selling an album. Maybe it was a really good way of just harnessing the audience,
PR
because he walks through the shopping centre in Leeds, and it was like the Pied Piper, but he just smelt really good. It was hilarious. They just
obsessed.
came. You've never seen LMS, Dior, and kind of. You've never seen all of these different departments come together just to say hi to Peter Andre.
I love that.
And I was the guy taking the pictures.
Yeah, were you?
Yeah, of course. So no, it was a really lovely start.
Ori's also done the Rocky Horror Show, which you did the tour and then came into London with it.
Yeah. 50th anniversary, that was.
Wow.
Big deal.
I love that. You then did your West End debut in Curtains.
West End debut was Curtains with Jason Manford at the Wyndham's Theatre, yeah.
And did you love that?
I intimidated.
Really?
We haven't got time to talk about my imposter syndrome. And if anybody else was talking to me about it, I would go, smack yourself around the chops, have a look at yourself. What are you talking about? You were there, you are in the role, you are present. Nobody is the perfect version of themselves until you're gone, right? So you keep working to where you want to get to. But in that instance, I was like, oh my God, I'm actually here in the West End. Oh gosh, like who's going to be in the room? Yeah, I found it quite intimidating.
And the more you work, has the imposter syndrome lessened?
Kind of, because I've only got older, and so the experience, I've added more experience, and I'd like to think I'm improving in the right direction. But at the same time, you're like, I still can't tap, or
Who cares?
I can't belt a ridiculous flat or something. And I think more and more it becomes very apparent that my route in, I didn't have the 20 years training that a lot of guys in the room have. So sometimes you can't bank on that. You know, sometimes if it was telly, like I started in 2008, before then, 2006 was my first time in a television studio. I can go, right, I know I should be here because I've got this wealth of experience. But when you only have 4 or 5 years, I can imagine you after leaving Erdang 4 or 5 years in, you're a very different person to who you are today. So I know I'm talking out of my arse, but I also it's there. It's a quiet voice, but it occasionally gets louder.
But that's lovely for the listeners to hear that. Like, look how successful you are, and you still get it. You know, it's normal. Yeah. It's completely normal. I think with experience and the people around you, like, you should know your worth. You know, you're amazing.
I would say exactly the same thing to everybody else.
Exactly.
Know your worth is totally the thing. You are in there, you got the job on merit, you are, and especially when you get a role, to then when you've finished the role, like, you're a very different person.
Yeah.
You've worked on it, and there's always lots of things you can be doing. So I know I'm talking rubbish, but it's definitely a thing.
I just feel like in this industry, if we started talking to ourselves the way that we talk to others, we'd feel much better about ourselves, you know?
Too right, hon.
Quick, because I'm running out of time with Ori. I could sit here with him all friggin' day.
We'll have to do the spin-off.
Yeah. Episode 2. SAS, Who Dares Wins.
Right.
Just give me a sentence of that experience to round it up.
Oh my gosh. SAS, Who Dares Wins. It was lockdown 2020. So enough was going on already.
Yeah.
But it was arguably, aside from having children, the most life-defining 2 weeks of my life.
And are you glad you did it?
I am so glad I did it, because essentially you are learning from people who have spent over 100 years between them in the special forces.
Wow.
Of like how to live your life. You know, they're not training you to become special service personnel, but they're giving you their experience. So it's up to you whether you want to use it or not. So I know if my back is against the wall and I'm feeling really rubbish, that I know I've got metal in me that I never knew existed 4 years ago.
Wow, I love that.
And that's a really powerful thing.
Yeah.
Because it's definitely, in those 4 years, it's definitely got me through a lot of things that maybe a few years ago I would have cracked and given up on. But I don't give up.
No, you don't.
That show has helped me.
And where can our listeners go and watch that?
Oh, sadly, it is still on Channel 4 on demand. Don't, because...
Do it.
Because it's pretty dark.
I watched it during rehearsals.
Yeah, you did.
And I just wish I hadn't watched it after I'd met him, because I was like, no, no, my Ore.
He's suffering. He's crying.
Yeah.
He's in.
His eyes
he's
are stinging.
cold. He thinks he's going to die again.
Now, final question is from Instagram. So our listeners write in questions.
Yeah.
And the one that I picked out for you, because I just know it's going to be gold, is what's your favourite mishap that's happened on stage?
Oh.
Where do we start?
Well, there are a few, and sadly, quite recently, sadly they involve you actually. I mean, you've been I said the benefactor.
I was the one
You were
receiving
the one who received my absolute mishap. The one that I'm most regretful of is when I left you hanging. I left you on stage.
I'll never forgive you for that.
I'm supposed to walk on and say goodbye to Vivian, and I just got my timing wrong. And it's a very quick window from when you say goodbye to when you come round to me. And maybe, what was it? Maybe 5 or 6 seconds, which feels like a lifetime.
Yeah, I just thought to myself, how am I going to get to the next scene if Ore's not going to come out? And then by the time I'd thought, what could I do? You were there, you know?
Yeah, no excuse for that. The worst one most recently, because I'd had a bit of trouble. I was going to go off. We had a 2-show date. I was going to go off on the second show, so I wasn't feeling great. And I'd made the call that I was going to do the show. But of course, I'm still in a show, so I have to finish it. And she's laughing because she knows you're, again, how graphic do we get? But things in your body were getting... Twitching. Getting bigger and smaller. And I had to come on, and it's the same moment. It's the same moment. There's something cursed about it. This time I turned up on time. I remember just starting my goodbye to you, bringing on the Julio character, as played beautifully by Noah Harrison. And in that moment, I knew what was to come, but I forgot what was to happen right now. And I remember I'm supposed to go have the hotel limo take Vivian anywhere she wishes to go. And I just went, okay, well, I know I've got to say goodbye to Mr. Lewis Edward later. So I just said, Mr. Lewis, I'm taking your things. And I was just looking down, forgetting there were 3,000 people there. And then Noah was sweating his nuts off. I couldn't even look at.
I was just looking at you like that, like...
He's having a malfunction.
Come on, get it out.
Get it out. I said, Mr. Lewis. I said, Vivian. And I I up some words. I said...
But the sentence you gave me wasn't English.
No, I just put words out, something about a limousine, off and go. And it was, there is a pit, actually. You know, talk about like the ground opening up. There is a pit right in front of us. I could have jumped in it. I could have jumped in it and ended it there.
Oh my gosh. And the thing is like, not one part of me thought, should I help him? I just thought, do you know what? This is far too entertaining for me.
Great.
So I'm just going to watch him suffer.
Yeah, and we're only halfway through the tour. Imagine what more pearls there are to come.
I know, I will keep you guys updated, but for now, this is all we've got time for today. But you have just been so wonderful. You're so honest and kind, and we're going to be sharing the stage with each other in about 5 hours. So I look forward to it.
Best go with my lines.
Yeah, especially that one. But thank you so much for listening. And Ore, thank you so much for coming here today.
I'll see you on stage, hon.
Giving me a bit of your time.
Anytime.
Thanks, guys.